Have you ever sat with an old friend, sipping tea or maybe walking slowly through the park, and felt the weight of words left unsaid? Not arguments, not secrets, just moments you never spoke aloud. What do those silences mean? And where do we begin if we want to bridge them? A friendship, especially as we grow older, isn't always about the stories we tell. Often it's about the quiet pauses, the memories shared in silence, and the trust that stretches across years. But sometimes those unspoken parts can leave us wondering if we've said enough, or if we've truly been understood. Today, let's explore what's unspoken in our friendships and how we can gently begin those conversations that deepen connection across years, families, and even generations. Gratitude is one of those feelings that often lives quietly inside us, almost like a soft background melody we forget to bring forward. In friendships, it's especially true. Over the years, friends do so many small things for us, things that may not look grand but mean everything in the moment. A friend who remembers to call after a doctor's appointment, one who sits with you when you're anxious about your children, or the one who brings laughter to a heavy afternoon. These moments stack up quietly, shaping the bond we share. Yet most of the time we never actually say, "Thank you for being there." It isn't because we don't feel it, but because life keeps moving and we assume the other person already knows. But the truth is, gratitude that stays unspoken can sometimes feel invisible. Imagine a garden tended with care but never admired. The flowers still grow, but how much brighter they would feel if someone stopped to notice them. Friendships are the same. A simple acknowledgement, "I really appreciate that you stayed with me when I needed company," can turn a regular day into a lasting memory. These words of thanks are not about formality. They're about reminding a friend that their efforts are seen, their kindness matters, and their presence makes life lighter. What makes silent gratitude tricky is that it's often tied to the smallest actions, and we tell ourselves they don't require recognition. But over time, those unspoken thanks can leave friends wondering if their presence really made a difference. A call that went unacknowledged, a meal shared without thanks, or a quiet act of support left unnamed. On the surface, nothing seems broken, but in the long run, spoken gratitude is what breathes energy into friendship. It strengthens trust and gives both people the comfort of knowing their care is valued. One powerful yet overlooked way to express this is through storytelling. Instead of a flat, "Thanks," sharing how that moment made you feel can be more meaningful. Saying, "You probably didn't realize it, but your words gave me courage when I was uncertain," turns a simple thank you into a piece of the friendship story. It gives the other person a memory to carry, a reminder of the impact they made. So maybe the real invitation here is to pause and look back at those moments when a friend made life a little easier, softer, or brighter. Instead of letting gratitude remain silent, bring it into the light. The words don't need to be perfect. They just need to be honest. Because in the end, spoken gratitude doesn't just honor the friend. It deepens the bond, turning unspoken kindness into a shared treasure. Every friendship carries a rhythm, and within that rhythm there are unspoken rules we all quietly follow. We know which topics are safe to bring up and which ones we tiptoe around. We sense when it's the right time to ask for help and when silence might be more respectful. These invisible lines are what we call boundaries, and while they often protect the relationship, they can also create distance if they remain unexplored. Many times we hesitate to share what's on our mind because we don't want to burden a friend or we fear overstepping. Yet the truth is, most of us long for more clarity than we admit. Think of a friendship like a home with a garden. The garden is lush and welcoming, but there are certain areas fenced off. Maybe those fences are there because the soil is fragile or because the plants need extra protection. A friend may not step beyond the fence, but that doesn't mean they don't care about what's on the other side. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They are about maintaining respect and balance. Still, what often goes unspoken is that many fences can actually become gates if only we dare to acknowledge them. Take, for example, the times we avoid talking about money, health struggles, or family disagreements. We may assume a friend doesn't want to hear it, but often they would prefer honesty over silence. Likewise, we might avoid asking a favor, believing it would be an inconvenience, when in reality that friend would be glad to step in. When boundaries are left unspoken, they can create confusion. one person thinking they're protecting the other, while the other is wishing for more openness. The beauty lies in naming the boundary without fear. A simple statement like, "I may not always have the answer, but I'm here to listen," or "I want to help, but here's what I can realistically do," can transform those invisible lines into a shared understanding. It gives the friendship room to breathe and shows that respect can live alongside closeness. Over time, these small acknowledgments help prevent resentment. Friends feel safer knowing where they stand, and they gain confidence to express what they truly need. It's not about tearing down every fence, but about making sure the paths are clear and the gates can swing open when trust calls for it. When boundaries are spoken, they stop being barriers and start becoming bridges. Laughter has a way of stitching people together in ways that even the deepest conversations sometimes can't. We've all had those moments with friends when something funny happens, often unplanned, and we laugh until our sides hurt. Maybe it was a slip of words during a family dinner, a travel mishap that turned into a comedy of errors, or an inside joke only the two of you understand. In the moment, laughter feels unforgettable, like it will live forever. Yet as the years pass, those shared sparks of joy often get buried under the routines of daily life. The memory still lives somewhere inside us, but unless we bring it back into the light, it quietly fades. What's interesting is how rarely we revisit those moments of laughter. We'll share updates about our health, our children, or our worries, but the joyful stories often remain unspoken. And yet, they are some of the most powerful reminders of why the friendship matters in the first place. Think of it like an old song that once defined your summer. When it plays again years later, you don't just remember the tune, you remember the feeling. Laughter works the same way. Recalling an old funny story doesn't just bring back the event, it reignites the warmth, trust, and comfort of the friendship that carried it. When friends take the time to revisit those memories, they give themselves the gift of reliving joy without needing new circumstances to create it. A simple phrase like, "Do you remember that time we," can shift the whole tone of a conversation. Suddenly the room feels lighter, and both people are reminded that their bond is not built only on support during hard times, but also on shared delight. That joy is a kind of emotional savings account, something you can draw on during more difficult seasons of life. Sometimes we hesitate to bring these memories up, thinking they might feel outdated or irrelevant. But the truth is, humor rarely expires when it's tied to friendship. Even decades later, an inside joke can still carry the same spark, because it's not about the joke itself. It's about who we shared it with. In a world that often pulls our focus toward responsibilities and worries, revisiting laughter is a gentle rebellion, a way of saying, our connection is bigger than what weighs us down. And perhaps the most powerful part of it is this: when we keep laughter alive, we remind ourselves that friendship isn't only about weathering storms, it's also about remembering the sunshine. In almost every friendship, there are things we keep tucked away. Not because we don't trust the other person, but because we don't want to add weight to their shoulders. We tell ourselves, they have enough to deal with, or this isn't the right time. So the worries stay inside. Concerns about health that we downplay, financial worries we never mention, or family struggles we mask behind a polite smile. On the surface, the friendship continues as usual, but beneath it, there's a quiet loneliness that grows when burdens remain unspoken. Carrying something heavy without sharing it can make us feel strangely disconnected, even from those we love most. Friendships are often thought of as safe havens, but they can only be that if we allow them to be. The irony is that many friends actually want to help, they just don't know what's really going on. When we keep everything hidden, we unintentionally rob them of the chance to show up for us. Imagine a friend who always comes by with food when you're unwell, but you never admit when you're struggling. To them, it may look like everything is fine, but inside, you're wishing someone would notice. The burden feels heavier simply because it's carried alone. Opening up doesn't have to mean spilling every detail or asking for solutions. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, "I've been carrying something difficult, and I just need someone to listen." That one sentence can unlock a new level of intimacy in the friendship. Often, the fear is that sharing will make us appear weak, when in reality it shows courage and trust. Vulnerability is not a sign of failing, It's an invitation to deepen connection. What's also worth remembering is that sharing burdens isn't a one-way street. When we open up about our struggles, we give our friends permission to do the same. It creates balance. Suddenly, the friendship isn't just about laughter and light moments, but also about carrying each other through darker days. Over time, these exchanges weave a stronger bond, one where both people know they don't have to perform or pretend. The truth is, the burdens we hide rarely disappear. They simply grow heavier in silence. By daring to share even a little, we lighten the load for ourselves and allow our friendships to become what they were always meant to be: a place where nothing needs to be carried alone. Friendships, unlike families, often lack the rituals that keep people bound together through time. Families gather for birthdays, holidays, or Sunday dinners, but friendships usually depend on chance. An unexpected phone call, a run-in at the store, or an occasional lunch when schedules align. While those moments can be meaningful, they're fragile because they rely on coincidence. Over time, life's responsibilities, raising children, caring for aging parents, adjusting to retirement, begin to fill the calendar, and friendships quietly slip into the background. What often goes unspoken is the need for a rhythm, a shared tradition that acts as an anchor. A tradition doesn't have to be elaborate to be powerful. It could be a monthly breakfast, a yearly road trip, or even something as simple as a weekly phone call at the same time. These rituals, small as they may seem, tell both people, "This matters. You matter." They turn friendship into something with roots, not just branches swaying in the wind. Without them, even strong bonds risk drifting. We don't lose friends because we stop caring. We lose them because we stop showing up in predictable, intentional ways. What makes traditions so meaningful is their ability to create shared anticipation. Think of how a family looks forward to the holiday table, or how children remember bedtime stories because they happened every night without fail. Friends deserve that same sense of expectation, something they can look toward with warmth. When you know that on the first Sunday of each month you'll see your old friend, the friendship doesn't just survive, it grows. Interestingly, traditions also carry a healing power. If there has been distance or silence, restarting a ritual can mend the gap without needing a big speech. A simple message like, "Let's bring back our Friday evening walks," can do what endless apologies cannot. The act of showing up regularly speaks louder than any explanation. As we grow older, traditions in friendship become even more important. They help create stability in a season of life when health, finances, and family structures may shift unexpectedly. A standing coffee date or a shared holiday card exchange becomes more than a social event. It becomes part of the legacy of the friendship itself. These rituals, however ordinary, hold friendship steady through the unpredictability of time. And when we look back years later, it's not just the big milestones we remember, but the comforting rhythm of traditions that reminded us we were never alone. Some of the heaviest silences in friendship are not about the things we share, but about the words we never say. Among them, apologies sit quietly, waiting, sometimes for years. We know when something went wrong, an offhand comment that stung, a forgotten birthday, a period of absence when the other person needed us most. Both friends might be aware of it, yet the subject never surfaces. Pride, discomfort, or simply the fear of reopening old wounds keeps the apology locked away. On the outside, the friendship might carry on, but underneath, there's a thin layer of distance that never quite disappears. What makes these unspoken apologies so powerful is how much they linger. Even when we laugh together again, a part of us remembers the moment that was never addressed. It's like a small crack in a window, barely visible at first, but it changes the way the light comes in. Over time, that crack can grow, not because of the mistake itself, but because of the silence around it. Yet what's often overlooked is that apologies don't always need to be grand or heavy to be meaningful. They don't even have to include the words, "I'm sorry." Sometimes they arrive disguised as, "I've missed you," or "I should have reached out sooner." These softer openings carry the same spirit of acknowledgement without demanding a long explanation. They show the friend that we remember, that we care, and that we value the bond more than our own hesitation. The beauty of addressing old wounds is that it can actually bring friends closer, not further apart. A small, sincere acknowledgement has the power to release years of quiet tension. Think of two people carrying a box together, If one lets go without warning, the other feels the full weight. But if they stop, adjust, and pick it up again with better balance, the load becomes lighter. That's what an apology does. It redistributes the weight of the past so both can move forward more freely. Of course, not every situation requires digging up old hurts. Some friendships survive simply because both people silently forgive without words. But when the distance feels heavier than the bond, speaking an overdue apology may be the bridge back. At its heart, an apology is less about admitting fault and more about saying, "Our friendship matters more than the silence between us." And often, that single step is enough to open a new chapter where warmth replaces regret. When we think about friendship, we usually picture the present. The conversations, the laughter, the comfort of knowing someone is just a call away. But what we often forget is that friendships are also part of a larger story, one that can outlive us if we choose to share it. Every friendship carries a legacy, woven through the experiences, lessons, and memories two people build together. Yet many of those stories remain unspoken, tucked away in private corners of our minds. We rarely pass them along to our children, grandchildren, or even other friends, and in doing so, pieces of history quietly fade. Consider how families pass down traditions and tales. A grandfather shares how he met his wife, a mother tells the story of her childhood home, and those narratives become part of the family identity. Friendships deserve the same honor. How powerful would it be for a grandchild to know not just about their grandparents' career or family life, but also about the friend who stood beside them through thick and thin? These stories are more than entertaining anecdotes. They are lessons in loyalty, resilience, humor, and love. They show the next generation what true connection looks like beyond family ties. The legacy of friendship also matters to the friends themselves. When we take time to reminisce how we met, the struggles we helped each other through, the joys we celebrated, we give the friendship a sense of continuity. It stops being just a series of isolated events and becomes a meaningful narrative that defines who we are. In many ways, friendships shape our values just as much as family or career. They teach us patience, empathy, forgiveness, and the art of companionship. Sharing those lessons ensures they don't vanish with us. Sometimes, people hesitate to talk about their friendships with their families, worrying that others may not see the value. But passing down those stories is not only about preserving memories, it's about strengthening family bonds. When children hear about the friends who influenced us, they see us more fully as human beings, not just parents or grandparents. They may even learn how to nurture their own friendships better by recognizing the role ours played in our lives. The legacy we forget to share is not just about the past, it's also about planting seeds for the future. By speaking our stories aloud, we honor the friendships that shaped us and give the people we love a richer map of where they come from. In the end, these stories remind everyone that friendship is not just an extra part of life, it's one of its lasting treasures. Friendship is like a book with many chapters. Some are loud with laughter, some quiet with silence. What's unspoken doesn't have to remain hidden forever. A few gentle words can open new chapters, even after years of silence. So here's a question for you. What's one unspoken thing you've always wanted to tell a friend? Maybe today's the day to begin. If this touched you, share your story in the comments. Your words may inspire someone else to reach out to a friend. And if you'd like more reflections on family, friendship, and navigating life after 50, consider subscribing. We have more conversations waiting for you.